Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and greetings to everyone and all the speakers here who are respected and blessed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Alhamdulillah, we are grateful to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because with His grace and permissions, we can meet together in the discussions forum. I am Fatina Drah binti Kamaruzaidi, will be with you to chair our forum today. Dear everyone, before I introduce all the speakers, let me first cover the topic of today's forums. The title of our forums today is revolve about zakats. When we're talking about zakats, many people will only remember about the zakat fitrah that must be paid during Ramadan or before the Ideal Fitri prayer only. But without us all realizing, there are still many more zakat that are available and must be paid for those who are obliged to pay according to the prescribed by Zakat Collection Center, which is MAWIB, such as property zakat, income zakat, gold zakat, and so on. As we know, zakat is a religious obligation for all Muslims who meet the necessary criteria to donate a certain portion of their wealth each year to charitable causes to 8 groups of SNAF who are entitled to receive it. In terms of language, zakat means clean and pure, while in terms of shara, zakat is giving a certain portion of property to a certain group when the conditions are sufficient. Quote from a comment by the former Mufti of Perlis, Dr. Muhammad Asri bin Zainal Abidin. He said that Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab once said that give zakat to someone, which is the poor, to become rich. This is because Ustad Dr. Asri has explained that the statement meant by Sayyidina Umar al-Khattab means that giving zakat must be implemented until there are no more poor people and the poor persons has come out or free from the regions of poverty. Next, there are 6 obligatory conditions of zakat stated by MAWIB on their website portal, which are Islam, independence, perfect ownership, sufficient nisab, sufficient whole, and development. Therefore, anyone who belongs to the 6 conditions above must pay zakat according to the zakat demanded of him. This can be calculated and checked through the Zakat Collection Center itself to determine the zakat payment rate charged to the individual. Today, in most Muslim majority countries, zakat contributions are voluntary, while in Libya, Malaysia, Pakistan, Saudi Arabia, Sudan, and Yemen, zakat is mandated and collected by the states. Shias, unlike Sunni, traditionally regarded zakat as private and voluntary actions, and they give zakat to imam, sponsor, rather than the state sponsor collectors. Alright everyone, without wasting our time, I will introduce all our speakers today. For our first speakers is Muhammad Hanif Daniel bin Zarilayuni. Next, I introduce the second speakers, Anas Huzaini bin Samsu Kamal. And the third one is Nur Shafika binti Ismail. The fourth speakers is Nur Balkis Azrin binti Kamal, and the last speakers is Ahmad Rushdan bin Muhammad Zauti. After the introduction greetings from all the speakers, let's open the curtain of our discussions with me handing over to our first speakers to continue the discussions by explaining the challenges in implementing zakat and the way to overcome the challenges. Thank you.
Assalamualaikum. I am the first speaker And my point is knowledge of zakat payment in the traditional community. Since the advent of Islam, or more than 1400 years ago, the practice of zakat has been commanded. The evolution of this zakat began with the Prophet, his companion, Tabi'i, and continued until the Sultanate of Malacca brought Islam into archipelago. Zakat has been modified over the years by several generations of scholars to fit their particular times, a process that is still ongoing now. Therefore, despite the zakat institution effort to implement various reforms in the context of zakat management, it is impossible for it to escape from traditional understanding of Muslims who frequently adhere to outdated practice that make it challenging for new approach to zakat payment. This conventional wisdom is broken into two parts. For the first is dealing with zakat computation, and the second dealing with the zakat payment. When it comes to calculating zakat, Malaysian Muslim conventionally understanding face a hurdle since they find it difficult to accept newly created positions that are zakat eligible, such as zakat income or zakat property. Mustafad. Most of writing by Muqtaba and early academic do not mention this kind of zakat when they refer to other works. Salary, bonus, independent income, commission, royalties, and other work for outstanding works are considered form of income due to zakat. There are other ways to pay zakat besides the conventional one, which is through salary deduction. Electronic means like internet, ATM, credit card, and so forth. Some individuals are still resistant to this practice because they believe zakat payment made at counter without ijab and kabul are invalid. The development of zakat source is the first requirement that can ensure the success of zakat in the present application by increasing the area of zakat range possibilities, according to Dr. Yusuf Qaradawi, who explained the necessity for modern zakat fatwas. Even though the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam never went into great depth of zakat, he believed all property that increase might be entitled to it. This viewpoint differs significantly from of scholars like Ibn Hazm and those who agree with him, who believe that zakat is only required on the eighth type of property that Prophet ﷺ had collected from zakat firm. This scholar used verse from the Quran or Hadith without ta'wil or use qiyas to express their opinion on the issue of the obligation to pay zakat. He highlighted the several kinds of property in the book of Al-Muhalla, including camel, cows, goats, wheat seed, dates, silver and gold. Even Ibn Hazm believed that since the hadith is unreliable, even dried grapes are not needed as zakat. To guarantee the potential for zakat collection may be maximized and the individual are qualified to pay zakat will complete their commitment. Zakat organization must handle this matter carefully. To continue this discussion, I will pass to the next speaker. That's all for me. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Anwar Zain bin Samsugama. My magic number is 287955. I would like to suggest several ways to overcome the challenges said by the first speaker. The first one is creating a zakat forum. A special zakat forum can be created and mobilized to further encourage efforts to increase the eminence of zakat. This forum can be made up of any parties who intend to directly contribute ideas, energy, and to help the existing of zakat institution through scientific discussion section, seminars, writing, and so on. The zakat institution can help the continuation of this forum with the contribution of funds or other resources so that more parties will be involved in increasing the zakat eminence in Malaysia. This forum can be used as a vehicle to get feedback from the public, bring together the authorities, create communication network, and more. The establishment of this forum has been in place and the establishment needs to be continued so the zakat institution will grow faster in the country. And the second one is strengthening the role of Jauhar. The federal government has established a special department to coordinate zakat activities in Malaysia, namely the Department of Wakaf, Zakat and Haji, which is Jauhar, since 2004, which serves to plan, coordinate, develop and monitor the strengthening of zakat institution in Malaysia. A lot of effort has been put in place, but it still can be improved over time. The government need to provide more allocation to Jauhar to enable Jauhar to play its role with the provision of advertising or documentaries related to zakat in electronic or print and billboard media, as well as conducting more scientific program proceeding of the National Convention on Property, Planning and Management in Islam 2010. And lastly, in line with the population census of the Department of Statistics conducted a population census to obtain detailed information on Malaysian population. The zakat institution is very thirsty for information on this census because as a result of the census, zakat institution can know the income of the residents. The income information of the population is very important to identify the poor as well as those with high income who are subject to zakat payment.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello everyone, my name is Nur Shafiqa binti Ismail and I was speaker number 3. I will talk about the challenges in zakah. So other than the problem stated by speaker number 1, I will explain about challenges from the aspect of zakat distribution, which is poverty eradication. The issue of zakah distribution has been talked about and discussed a lot at the moment. Some people are not confident with the zakat distribution done by zakat institutions, especially in the context of poverty eradication. The poverty alleviation agenda has become a national agenda and the government itself has carried out various poverty alleviation programs through various agencies since independence, such as FELDA, FECRA, and so on. There are various problems and challenges that need to be faced, especially in implementing the poverty eradication program, which aims to ensure that every poor and poor worker is independent and tries to get out of the cocoon of poverty. Among the challenges faced by Lembaga Zakat Selangor itself in dealing with the target group Asnaf Fakir, poor converts, is the attitude of the Asnaf himself, who always wants to be helped by the Zakat institution and does not want to be independent and always expect help every year. Lately, there has been a public perception that when there are cases involving poverty among Muslims, whether displayed in the electronic media, print media or otherwise, the zakat institution will be held accountable, and this situation was different 10 years ago. Zakat institutions such as LZS are complementary to various existing government agencies, either at the level of the central government or the state government. The responsibility of dealing with poverty is a shared responsibility between various government agencies, the private sector, zakat institutions, and the community. The second challenge is the perception of Muslim to the definition of Asnaf, Fakir, and poor, that they must consist of the elderly, single mothers, the disabled, and do not have assets. Not all of them are eligible to be categorized as Asnaf, Fakir, or poor because the assessment is based on the kifayah limit of a family. There are cases of parents living alone in the village having children with high incomes to cover their needs. The same goes for single mothers and disabled people who have families or property that can support their life. There is also a perception stating that a person who has a special house in the city does not deserve to be categorized as poor. There is a case involving a housewife from a single mother who lives in a terrace house or apartment left by her late husband. The LZS will look at the needs of her life and children's education. There are a number of Muslims who believe that the distribution of zakah is only to help the poor and needy asnaf. It should not be distributed to other needs of the fisabilillah asnaf that can be helped by the government or its agencies. For example, the payment of kafah teachers allowance, mosque committee members allowance, constructions or rehabilitating religious institutions such as religious schools and mosques. Following that perception, some of them make their own zakah payments to the poor or poor asnaf without thinking that the distribution they do involve 2 asnafs out of 8 asnaf. So I think that's all from me. So I will pass to the next speaker. Thank you.
Alhamdulillah, praise to Allah. Thank you to our moderator and fellow speaker. My name is Nur Balkis Azrin binti Kamal and my metric number is 288 and 111. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabihi ajma'in. Thank you for the opportunity for me to talk tonight. And now I'm going to talk about the ways on how to overcome zakat in Malaysia. So what is zakat actually? Zakat is a payment made annually under Islamic law on certain kinds of property and used for charitable and religious purposes, which is one of the 5 pillars in Islam. So, zakat institution in Malaysia oversee the obligatory Islamic donations which have improve the poor and needy socio-economic conditions through innovative programs. The system of zakat ensures proper distribution of wealth and has a wide impact on the entire setup of the society. If zakat is established as an institution, it will create a collective social security scheme for mutual help or even sympathy, and the resources can be further utilized for the social development. And nowadays, as we know, we have quite challenge in bringing zakat into its full use. And why is that? As we already know from our previous speaker, and now I am going to talk about on how, by preventing so, we have come with a few ways on how to overcome the current issue of the zakat institution in Malaysia. Firstly is the function of IPTA and IPTS in generating zakat continuously for zakat institution to be used into its full use. And it is by making a collaboration with educational institutions, because they have many workers and experts, especially in various fields, to produce studies that can be used by the zakat institutions. As we can take an example as University Utara Malaysia, University Malaya or even University Kebangsaan Malaysia. Moreover, the second ways on how to overcome zakat in Malaysia, to overcome the current issue of zakat institution in Malaysia is by gaining fresh insight by assisting the zakat institutions, also give an important roles in avoiding the current issues. At this point, it is crucial that all efforts to produce lapidation are recognized, accepted, and carried out properly and successfully. This role also can be fulfilled by the government, the commercial sector, or the community, or even ourselves, by doing what? I can give an example as by doing promoting the zakat institution even in social media, making a poster or a commercial video, or even a corporate video, and we can make a campaign on zakat institution and so on. Also, gaining fresh insight by assisting the zakat institution. At this point, it is crucial that all all efforts to produce. Aku dah sebut lah ni. Zakat is a religious obligation for all Muslims who meet the necessary criteria to donate a certain portion of their wealth each year to charitable causes to 8 groups, which is Asnaf, who are entitled to receive it. As Sayyidina Umar Khattab once said that, give zakat to someone, which is the poor, to become rich or richer. So, as what I have said earlier, by doing the campaign of the Zakat institution, we can promote it to the younger generation and make them know and realize how important of Zakat institution in Malaysia in helping, especially for the society in Malaysia. So I think that's all from me for on explaining the ways on how to overcome the scourge of zakat in Malaysia. Now I will pass to the moderator to continue our forum for tonight. Thank you.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. My name is Ahmad Rushdan bin Muhammad Zauti and my matrix number is 287015. Thank you, presenter 4. To sum up this forum, the institution of zakat is very important in the zakat system. It is an intermediary between payers and receiver, which is Asnaf. The responsibility is great large, which is to ensure that zakat collection can be done efficiently and distribute zakat to Asnaf efficiently and effectively. In case this institution fails to function properly, then the zakat system will not succeed implemented. Zakat institution need to demonstrate high Islamic values such as trust and fairness in zakat management, and at the same time need to be professional. It is clear that in managing zakat collection and distribution activities, the zakat institution faces a number of obstacles and difficulties, as indicated by the panel speakers, such as the attitude of the Asnaf who always want to be helped by the zakat institution and does not want to independent and always expect help every year. Second, the difficulty in determining the poor or mu'alaf, problems among Asnaf who want to do business but have no experience and require large capital, and other that have been explained by the presenter before. So from that, we can see there is a lot of obstacles that need to be faced by zakat institution in Malaysia. The concerns and challenge described in this forum are among the most significant, but in fact, there are much more problems that must be resolved. Thus, to curb this problem from getting worse, we need to identify the factors that drove this problem to happen, such as lack of funding, lack of entrepreneurial experience, lack of financial management knowledge, and lack of constant coaching and monitoring. Therefore, the panel members have consequently recommended a number of solutions to this persistent issue, including creating a zakat forum, strengthening the role of Johar, coordinate the census of population, the role of IPTA and IPTS in conducting continuous zakat studies to be used by zakat institution, giving new perception with the support to zakat institution. So all sides should not take this subject lightly, because zakat worship is a dynamic worship that must be handled in accordance with the demands of this contemporary ummah without abandoning the fundamentals of zakat worship. Issues and difficulties are encountered. Challenge of zakat institution managing zakat nowadays is not like the old day, where an amil was someone trusted by the local community, such as ustad, religious teachers, and priors who have a religious education background. Zakat management nowadays also need managers who have other knowledge, such as management, entrepreneurship, technology, and so on. This is the end will increase the level of professionalism of zakat management, increase confidence of zakat payers, and will eventually increase funds zakat in the Islamic financial system, which can eventually increase more distribution to Asnaf. This is expected to eradicate poverty, the Muslim community in general, and further strengthen social security in Muslim community. Before I close the forum, I would like to thank to all our panel members for being willing to be present and willing to voice their opinion. So I end this forum with wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.